horror and TV shows, superheroes in general, Bloody Jacob. I try being human. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Bloody Jacob here. I just wanted to do a video doing a review on the 2014 Godzilla movie. And I just got back from the theater a few hours ago. And I don't know if you guys seen the video before this one. I did a hype video and for this movie, and I just wanted to do a full review here right now. Um, yeah, well, this is the second time I'm filming this review because my last one was, I don't know, a little bit more negative than I wanted it to be, but now it's a few hours later. I've gathered my thoughts, my mind is settled a little bit more. I can rationally think about it a little bit more than I was doing earlier. So, yeah, I'm gonna just go over a few things about the movie that I liked, a couple things here and there I didn't like as much. So, I'll start off by talking about Bryan Cranston. Uh, oh yeah, this review will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't watch this review. That means you, Andrew. And so, as far as Bryan Cranston goes in the movie, I don't know. I really feel like they underutilized him a lot. Because, like I said, spoilers, he dies about half an hour through, I'd say, maybe a little more, a little less, give or take. And I just really think that gives me the impression that they got him in the movie. They put his name out there just so they could get more money from his name. They didn't really, his role in the movie was a lot less than they made it out to be, which is a pretty big letdown on my part. And his character doesn't even relate to Godzilla at all. I mean, he dies before Godzilla even shows up. So, I don't know. I mean, I like the scene where he lost his wife at the beginning. That was really well done, emotional. The role he did have, he did fantastic in, though. I mean, he's an incredible actor. I love Breaking Bad. And he did really well with what he could do in this, as far as the time he had goes. So, a little let down that he didn't really get as much time spent with him as that we thought we were going to, and it just makes it the whole thing seem cheap that they put his name out there now. But hey, it's I'm getting over it though, but whatever. I don't like seeing Walter White die like that. So, Mr. White, go Mr. White. Anyway, so that's my main pick, I guess. They really messed him up, I think. But now as far as Aaron Taylor Johnson goes, he played Bryan Cranston's son in the movie. His name is Ford. I thought he did all right in the movie. I mean, he was functional as like the capable military man. And there are some scenes, I don't know, where he was kind of bland at times though. But I think he did well enough for the role he had as well. So, yeah, he wasn't too bad. He didn't really blow me away with. Taylor Johnson didn't really blow me away with his performance, though. And Elizabeth Olsen. Now, what's funny about that is that Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen are playing brother and sister in the new Avengers movie, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, which is kind of funny. But Elizabeth Olsen, she did fine in this movie. She was alright. I mean, she didn't really have much of a role to begin with, but she did well enough for, again, what she had. So those are really all the main actors there. Oh, and the guy that played Dr. Serizawa. I'm not really sure why they called him Dr. Serizawa, because if you guys seen the original 1954 version, you'll remember that Dr. Serizawa was the guy who invented the oxygen destroyer. And that never came up in this movie, so I don't know why they called him Serizawa. But I did kind of like his character. I mean, I like how he thought there was more to it than just simply trying to kill Godzilla and the MUTOs in the movie. So, it was kind of interesting to see him, go against the military a little bit, disagreeing with them. That was kind of cool to see. And I forget the guy's name. I think it was Want to Be or something like that. he did pretty good. And now speaking of the MUTOs, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. I think it's MUTOs, but I'm not sure. Can't remember how they said it in the movie. But as far as they go, well, there was one smaller version that usually flew around, and there was like a bigger version that was closer to 300 feet tall. He was more of the up close and personal fighter. As far as they go, they're all right. I thought they were a little bland when it came to their actual design, but I like how they moved around in the city and things like that. I like how they crushed things, you could say. I mean, I thought they looked like they were a good fit in that world they created for the movie. And I thought that they looked natural with the visuals. And the visuals were fantastic in this movie. The CGI was very well done. But I wasn't exactly blown away by the design of the MUTOs. So, that's the MUTOs. And now, as far as Godzilla himself, I thought he was done fantastic. It was awesome. Yeah, as far as Godzilla goes, he was great in this movie. Like, there's a lot of things I liked about him. Well, first of all, the design for Godzilla was really, really good. I could say it could be one of my favorite Godzilla designs of all time. He's supposed to be the biggest he's ever been height-wise, like around 350 feet tall, I think. But at the same time, he's so big, but yet he looks so much more realistic than he ever has, which is really something to marvel at, And yeah, so he looked really good. And yeah, it was great because he didn't get killed from a few missiles like in the '98 version. So yeah, he is Godzilla again, which is great, which is what he should be. So yeah, Godzilla was great in this movie. I'll get into him a little bit more in a couple minutes or so. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm not really missing anything I wanted to talk about here. Well, it's criticisms. I do have a couple. Well, I told you about my displeasure with Bryan Cranston's role. My only other real criticism would be that I think they spent too much time with the military in this movie. I mean, I know Ford, Aaron Taylor Johnson was a part of them, so I know that's obviously had to show them a lot for him to be in the movie. But I think they showed a little bit too much of their preparation. Even though they do that in a lot of Godzilla movies, I just think they spend too much time on something that's not really that interesting, or something that's not really that crucial to what we care about in the movie. Because most of us care about Godzilla more than anything else. So I think they could have cut some time out of the military preparations. But it wasn't really that bad. I mean, and then I thought the lighting in the movie, the brightness, could have been a little bit more bright, I think. And parts of the movie, especially towards the end, it seemed a little too dark to me. I mean, I don't know if that was just my particular theater projectionist. I don't know if that was my particular theater or projectionist, but I don't know. It just seemed a little bit too dark, especially towards the end in the final battle. But it wasn't too bad. I mean, you could still make out the things you needed to see. So that's really all my criticisms right there. I mean, they mishandled Bryan Cranston. The lighting was a little bit too dark. And the MUTOs were a little bit bland design-wise. Those are my only criticisms, really. And, well, yeah, I also said Johnson was a little bit bland in certain parts, but really, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, this is a Godzilla movie, not a Aaron Taylor Johnson's Ford movie, so it's alright. Now, as far as the battles go, which is what people are most concerned about in the movie, I think, they were really, really well done. I mean, it looked great, a lot more natural. They made the fights look a lot more realistic, I think. And although I think they teased us a little bit too much in this movie, I mean, there's a scene, like I said, there's going to be spoilers. Sorry about my screen going out there. there's gonna be spoilers. There's a scene in this movie. It's in Honolulu, and they have Godzilla show up, and him and the MUTO are staring each other down. Godzilla lets out a big roar, which is really really epic. It was awesome. But right after that, they're about to fight, and it just cuts away. And then after that, they go to the next morning and they show on the news all the aftermath. I mean, you see destruction spread across the whole city, but you didn't get to see any of what actually happened, which is kind of a meh. I don't really know. I mean, I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I mean, I watched all the Japanese movies. I own most of them, so I know what I'm talking about here. So, I think I was a little bit more irritated by that than I am now when I first seen it, because when I think about it, it kind of reminds me of the old 1954 original movie. In the way that they teased them and that they built them up, to that big destruction scene in the city. I think it reminded me of that. They really built them up and they teased us, which I'll admit was frustrating to a certain degree. And they did that like at least one or two more times after that in a similar way, which yeah, was a little annoying. But I don't think it bothers me too much now that I think about it. Um, yeah, and then the final battle. Oh, the final battle was awesome. I said awesome quite a lot in this video, haven't I? Godzilla fighting both the MUTOs 2-on-1 is a pretty great thing to see. I think again the visuals are really really something to marvel at in this movie, and yeah, it was. I like how Godzilla killed the smaller MUTO, the one that flew around most of the time. Was flying at him from behind. Then you just see Godzilla's tail come up and just smash him right into the building next to him. That was really, really. You could feel the power in that swing. If you see the movie, you'll know what I mean. They did that really well. And that's how he killed the smaller one. And then, yeah, it's a whole new meaning to swatting flies, I guess. But, yeah, so that part was really cool. And then after that, there's a bigger one. They fought a little bit more, and Godzilla could kind of toss him around and bring him to the ground, which is fun to see. And I kind of thought they could have shown more of the fight here. They could have added a little bit more to it, but what we did see of it was really, really awesome. I can't find very many other words to describe this fight other than awesome. It was epic. It was brutal. It was powerful. And how he killed the final MUTO was really one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Oh, and something else I gotta mention before I talk about that. When Godzilla finally fires his atomic breath, oh, it's an amazing scene because you see his tail start flickering and lighting up. You see that really, really bright blue color, and this goes from the tip of his tail all the way up to his back, and eventually, and you just see it come out of him. It's like it's not exactly a ray, like I said. It's more of a breath, and it looks really, really good. And how you see Godzilla kill the bigger final MUTO. He beats him around a little bit, then he opens up the MUTO's jaws and he just fires his atomic breath right down into his throat. Then he just takes his head off with it. He just tears it off with it. And that was brutal. That was awesome to see. My God. Wow. So that is really fantastic. And I'm starting to geek out a little bit more over this movie. I wish I could go back and see it, but we really can't afford that right now. I mean, I paid for it with a gift card, so yeah. And so the ending to the fight was fantastic. And after that, after Godzilla slammed the smaller MUTO into the building, like I told you about with his tail, the building falls on top of him. Yeah, and that was a pretty cool visual too. I mean, seeing it all come down on top of him, that was awesome. God, I'm really overusing that word in this video. But And that brings up one of my other favorite scenes in the movie. Is Godzilla, Godzilla and Brody or Ford, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah, they have like a little eye contact, like a little stare between the two of them, and you can actually feel like that was there was something there. Not no, not sexually or anything, but you could just like see there's more to Godzilla than just being a mindless monster. You know what I mean? And that was another thing about Godzilla I really liked in this movie. Um, yeah, they really made him out to be more of the hero in this movie because even when he's swimming in the water, he'll swim under the ships, that he goes past, and he'll completely avoid harming any humans directly, And even when they start firing missiles at him, he never really fights back, and he just keeps on moving to, the MUTOs he was after, which was, in an interesting way to go with him, I think. And like even when he's in the city, he never really directly attacks any humans. He never goes after Ford or anyone like that either. So that was I thought it was pretty cool that I went with that. The whole hero aspect of it. So that part was really cool. The parts of Godzilla's character relating to that. And as far as the ending goes, after Godzilla kills the bigger Muto with the breath down the throat thing I told you about, you see Godzilla collapse, and Ford's kind of out of it too, which is a pretty cool scene. And then he goes to the next morning, you see Godzilla laying there in the ruins. It's really bright outside. It's a great visual. You see Godzilla laying there, all the ruins of the rubble and things like that. And you think for a second Godzilla could be dead, but then you think, oh wait, I heard they're doing a sequel. They want to do a sequel, so no. Eventually, you see Godzilla start standing up. You see him open his eye slowly at first, and then he stands up, and it's a great few shots of Godzilla walking through the city. And you see Sarazawa, and he's kind of happy to see Godzilla alive, And you see Godzilla walk through the city, great shots, like I said, and he gets to the edge of the city, then he just roars into the sky. That was pretty epic. And he, dives into the water. He dives into the water, and then he swims away. So we got that classic Godzilla returning to the sea ending, which I thought was a good choice. It was a really good scene, and a good ending. And something else I wanted to point out about this movie. If you guys seen the movie, you remember the scene where Bryan Cranston's character, he took Aaron Taylor Johnson through what was supposed to be the irradiated city, but turned out to be completely harmless. And they went to their old house, and they were trying to find different things. And if you've seen, like, there's like this cage or one of those glass see-through cages, and it had the label on it that said Mothra. So if you're a fan of the Godzilla series, then Mothra. That probably gave you a small geek out moment, I think. It was a nice little reference that you could have missed. Now, I don't know if that necessarily means we'll see Mothra in another movie, but I don't know. It was just still kind of cool to see her name at least. Oh, yeah, so overall, this review went on a lot longer than my last one. So if you stuck with me this long, thanks. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good Godzilla movie. They handled Godzilla himself really, really well in the movie, as well as they could have, I think. The tone was pretty good in the movie. I liked the atmosphere. It felt like a real disaster movie. And, I like the realism behind it. And, the fights were extremely well done. The only major gripe I have with it is Bryan Cranston's cheapened role in it. I was a little let down by that. But other than that, just minor gripes about the lighting, like I said, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, but that's not really too much of a problem. He functioned well enough for the role he had to. So overall, I definitely recommend it if you're a huge Godzilla nerd like I am. You've seen all the Japanese movies. You're on Toho Kingdom, posting about it and discussing it back and forth right now. Or even if you just want to see not Bryan Cranston, but like a good, well done movie, I definitely recommend this one. My original rating for this and the last shoot I did for this video is going to be like a 7.5 or an 8. Right now I'd probably bump it up a little bit more after thinking about it. Probably an 8.5 or a 9, I'd say. I might increase the next time I see it on DVD or something, which I'm definitely buying it on DVD, no question. So yeah, that does it for this review. I definitely recommend checking it out, going to theaters to see it. I hear it's gonna hit 100 million just this weekend alone in America. So yeah, that's awesome. I hope we see a sequel. I'll catch you guys next time, and peace.